All right, hey everybody. We are getting ready for our 2020 Dot Mandala program in a few minutes. Yep, there we are. Wow, I'm messy today. Look at me go. Well, that's because I have a new setup that I am oddly excited about. There we go. Comments are on. So everybody's going to join in. So let's see. That's a little bit bright on, like, see what I can do with the lighting here. Why do I have that bright light? Let's think. Oh, I know. I have to be patient. Okay, so fix the lighting a little bit. Oops, that's not going to help you, is it? Ah, that's beautiful. Lovely. Okay. Bright enough. Move that a little bit in more. I have my paints here. All right, we're getting ready. So this is the plate we're going to be doing tonight. If you're some new to us, what you can do is make sure you've got maybe a little scrap of paper handy to do a little bit of practice dotting, because that's a thing in my little world. You've got your slightly damp paper towel for cleaning off your tool. You have your glazes open, and you have your plate on your placemat. Yeah, okay, that's what you need there. Look at this. I'm using my mug from next week's class for my water glass today. Woohoo! Yes, I'm excited by the oddest of things. I don't think that you need anything else. I'm just going to remind you all that if you were thinking about writing something or signing the back of your plate, you really can't do it with anything else. You can't use a Sharpie or any kind of acrylic paint, God forbid, or even a brush that you might have at home. What you could do potentially, if you don't even have any white, so you don't really even have any good colors for marking your plate. So what I'd ask you to do is to just write on your ticket what you want the back to say, and we'll be glad to add that for you before we fire it. My bigger concern is if you use a brush that was used for acrylics, the residue can really damage the plate, and I can't fix it. You know, I don't mind anything I can fix. I just really hate stuff I can't fix. And acrylics, having been touched the plate before it gets fired, is a can't fix thing. For those of you who are joining us perhaps after dinner, don't forget to wash your hands. Oils from your hands can also cause an issue with the glaze, so it's best to start with clean hands. I feel so silly sometimes. So everybody, look, okay, everybody's joining in. That's awesome. We're getting all ready to roll. All right. I tend to try to start on time. I appreciate that everyone's joining in, and hopefully you're in the right place. This is the plate you're planning on painting tonight. I'm just going to leave this up for a couple more minutes before I show you my plate that I'll be working off of, which just has the same markings as yours. But just as a reminder, you'll have your slightly damp paper towel. Your glazes are all open. You have your dotting tool. You maybe have a little piece of paper or something, a scrap paper nearby to do a little practice dotting with. And I think that's about all you'll really need. If you put your plate on your placemat, remember that the purpose of the placemat is, somewhat to protect your table. There's nothing wrong with that, of course, but you also want to use it to pick up and turn your plate as we're working. Now, I have the luxury of having a turntable, so I'm just a little spoiled brat over here, but assuming you don't happen to have a turntable for yours, the placemat allows you not to touch your plate too much, which is kind of what my dream is. All right. So I'll just give it another minute and we will get started. Hey, Mimi, thank you for your comment. So for anybody who's just kind of stumbled onto us or is new to us, a couple of things I'll tell you. First of all, any of the kits we have, where I think this is, I'm doing quick math, I think this is week 4 or week 5. It feels like 5, but regardless, all the videos that we've done are saved either on our Facebook page, the Studio for Art and Craft, or on our YouTube channel. And even if you go to the easiest way to get to the YouTube channel is if you go to our website and you look for the kit. So let's just say Colonial Burst, which was the first week's program. If you click on it, before you add it to your cart, right in the listing, it says click here for, to link to the video, the instructional video, and it'll take you right there. So you'll have access to that. You can order the kit. Once you pick it up, you can do it on your own time and just bring it back and drop it off to be fired. And I think we're getting together a really nice collection of plates. That's all I can say. So it's the top of the hour. I'm going to get us started. So you've got your plates set up. I'm going to take this one off of here. And you've got, let's see if you can see on mine. You can't really see. I'm going to lift it up for a minute and see if that helps you to be able to see the markings on mine. I'm not sure it will. Yeah, yes, let's see, let the light. Okay, so you can see that I have my, oh, whoa. So yeah, there you go. You can see I have mine marked just the way yours is marked. All right, and I've got, now I'm trying something new. We got new dotting tools, this green tool that you have. And if you are looking at the side of it, this says dotting, I guess it's a hard G, gyre, I don't really know, tool. But there's a number on each of the tips, 1 through 8. 1 is the smallest tip, and 8 is the largest tip. So I'll be saying things brilliantly like tip 1, tip 2, etc. But this is a new tool to us, and these tools don't fit brilliantly into the containers, which I did not realize until I started the last class. So going forward, anyone who hasn't gotten their kits yet for next week's program or anything in the future, I'm actually switching to different cups so that your tool will fit in them and it won't make you go crazy. But for now, you might just have to tip your cup. Sorry, not your tool. That makes no sense. All right, so when we talk about dotting, I'm just going to put this little piece of scrap paper up here. Whoops. Try not to hit my own plate. My name's Jackie, by the way, if anybody needs to know that. I do want to remind everybody that if you have a question or you want me to repeat something or my speed isn't working for you, just shoot me a comment, and I am getting pretty good at staying on top of those. So basically, we're going to pick a tip, and what you can actually do is do all of your tips on the practice, but just pick a color. I'm just going to start with tip 2, dip it in and dot, and then tip 3, dip it in and dot. So you can just get a sense of how each of the colors dips differently, and partially that's because, well, the main reason for that is because different colors have different viscosities. They're different thicknesses, so they're going to dot a little bit differently. But I do want you to take a second and sort of get the feel for that. You can see I'm trying out one of the new ideas I have and seeing if this little paint pack that I have will hold enough paint to do a plate. I really don't know. Fortunately, I have extra paints here, so I'll get to find that out. And also, when I ask you guys if you're ready to move ahead and stuff, oh, Mimi, that's great. I did not know. I didn't remember. So thank you for reminding me that you were at one of our classes. When I ask and you're ready to move ahead, are you ready to move ahead? Just go ahead and hit the thumbs up so that I know, I can sort of gauge by how many people I know are watching and how many people are ready to move on to the next step. So we're going to start like we always do. We start in the middle and work our way out. So we're going to start with tip number 6. No, we're not. That's crazy. Is that what I want to do? No, I'm going to start with tip number 8. I always start with tip number 8, the largest tip in the middle. And we're going to use the red, and we're just going to put in right in that big circle in the middle. We're just going to dip and dot. Now, if it doesn't come out large enough, you can dip and dot again. You want it to be just dot, dot, dot until it covers that area. Sometimes what will happen is when you have a circle like the one I drew, the paint has a hard time dealing with the etching because those marks on your plate are etched in. So it's best to, you can take your time and dot, dot, dot over and over. I just wiped my tip off. I don't really like a mound of glaze in there. I want it to be flat. So now I'm kind of taking glaze off and wiping it on my towel. All right. Your plate already has 3 coats of black on it. I know it looks gray, but for those of you who have done this before, you know that when it fires, it's a nice shiny black. So that's our middle for now. We're going to let that dry. And now we're going to go to tip 6. And we're going to stick with the same color for a moment. So tip 6 is, we went from 8 down to 6. We're going to use the same color, and we're going to put first row of marks right on the little tiny dashes. I don't know how else to describe it. So there's a little dash, and you're going to put a mark on that. Go nice and light, because you have a lot of these to fit in pretty close to each other. Now you're noticing, if you're watching mine, whoops, if they touch, please don't worry about that. We can clean that up at the end. It's much easier to clean dry paint than it is to clean wet paint. Oops, I gotta move my paints. Seemed like a good idea to have them way up here. I have, my whole setup is much higher now so that you guys can hopefully get a better view. So if they touch, oh yeah, I was saying, sorry, it's easier to clean up dry paint than it is wet paint, so just let it alone. Sometimes what I'll do is, if I'm not sure I can make a dot in between, I'll skip one and come back and dot it. It is not the end of the world if your dots are not all the same size at this point. This is not where that really matters. All right, sometimes like on this dot I did where it just didn't, I'm gonna come in with a smaller tip to kind of finish it up. Now you see some of these don't, because of the hash marks, they kind of don't form a full circle. You can try to fix it a little bit if you want, but it also, I will be honest and tell you that the kiln will fix it. So I have a couple of dots that kissed. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to let that work itself out in the at the end when they dry. I'm going to show you how to clean those up. All right, so I'm going to wait while you guys finish that, and I'll be looking for, I'm using, oh, hey Jody, we're using the red color, so it's red in the center, and then also, and that's with the tip number 8, and then around it you can use tip 6, or you can even go down a size to tip 5 if you want to, because I've noticed that tip 6 is kind of pretty close together on this one. So if it's easier for you, go down to tip 5 and use that. Less cleaning up at the end. All right, any other questions? Not so far. Any thumbs up for being done with this step? No rush. I don't ask you to rush you. I'm just asking so I know when to move ahead. Oh, you're welcome, Jody. All right, a couple people are finishing up. Yep, watching paint dry is a major occupation for me. Okay. All right, so I'm going to move ahead because the next step is very similar, as is the step after that. So it just allows people to somewhat work at their own pace. So now we're going to go down one size. So we're going to go, if you use tip 6 before, we're going to use tip 5, and we're going to go to the orange, and we're going to just put a dot above what we did. Now just make sure you go far enough away so that you don't run into your red dot. And remember, the Jackie law of painting, you can always add more, you can't add less. So dot lightly, and if you don't get enough, then you can always dab again. But if you dab too hard and it spreads all over, there's really often, you know, you can clean it up pretty much somewhat at the end, but it's a much messier proposition. The other thing I've often tried to remember to point out to you is if you're left-handed, well, you're going to be one or the other. Whether you're left-handed or right-handed, you dot better on the side, I don't know how to say this, of your hand. So I'm left-handed, so dotting on the left side is more comfortable for me. I don't have to reach over. And that's why it's important to turn your plate, okay, so that you're always dotting on your best side. There's absolutely no reason to have to reach over. That's what the paper placemat is for you to be able to dot on your best side. Just turn your plate, turn your plate, turn your plate. All right. So we have the red in the center, and then we have the red dots, and now the orange dots. Because we're working on these etched lines, as I've mentioned, but I just want to remind people who are just joining in, maybe to start with, your circles will have these little indentations in them. Don't stress about that. Because the base is a glaze also, right? The black, which looks kind of gray to you guys, but that's glaze. So as this melts in the kiln, the etches fill in and your circles round up. So don't worry about that. And then the last dot we're going to do in this series is we're going to use tip 4 and the yellow color, and we're going to add a third dot above. So we have red, orange, yellow, red, orange, yellow. I'll stop saying it because I think you get it. Red, orange, yellow, all the way around. Okay. Checking for questions. All right, so far so good. So if you've just kind of come by our little class here and are saying this is something you think you might want to do, feel free to visit our website, the Studio for Art and Craft, because you can, under to-go kits, you can actually order the kit to be able to make this plate, and then you can come back and watch the video anytime. It'll be always on our Facebook page, and it'll also be on our YouTube channel, which you can access from our website. Or directly. I mean, it's not secret or hidden or anything. But to me, I find it easiest to do it that way. So I'm going to wait for a little bit for you guys to kind of catch up with this. One of the things... I guess maybe you get this or you don't, but I'll explain it to you. I do most of these plates multiple times. Like even before I unveil it to you, I've done it several times. And even though I essentially follow the same directions, if you will, my directions that I make up, you know, and I try to do it the same every time, in reality, no two plates are the same. So sometimes while I'm teaching, I'll notice that, like in this case, there's not a lot of room between each of these. So something I would normally do, like that's in the photo that you have that has a lot of those little dots, I don't know that that's going to work for you in this particular design because there's just not a lot of room here. So I'm probably not going to do that step because I think it's too hard for it to come out well. I really mostly am concerned it would come out terrible, and terrible is bad. In my book, I'm a very simple person. So I definitely don't want to do that. So I'm going to probably skip the little tiny yellow dots that you see on your photo. Okay, if at the end, you know, when things have dried up and you think you want to try to put them in, that's fine. Again, your plate, you can do whatever you want to it. But in the interest of having them come out really good, I think I'm going to pass on that step. All right. So let me get a sense of where you're at. Anybody, show me if you're done with the yellow by giving me a thumbs up. Okay. All right. So when you get through the yellow, then we'll move on to the next step. All right, that looks like a bunch of thumbs up there. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to our next step. We're going to use the smallest tip, which is tip number 1. Can't get smaller than 1. All right, and I'm going to use the orange because, to be honest, I like the orange. I'm so funny. I like the orange better than I like the yellow. I think it just pops better on the page. And what we're going to do on the page, on the plate, is take the orange and we're going to put a dot above, okay, and then a couple of dots down each side. And it gets very small, so it'll... not catching enough glaze on my tip here. Okay, so 1, 2. And then I'm going to do the same. So on the next one, I'm going to put a dot up here. And now, because I'm only going to add 1 dot in between, because I already have one over there. So let me show you that again. So up here, I have my center dot above the yellow with the 1 tip. But then I'm going to go 1, 2, and then put 1 over here. So it's like a little V in between. I guess that's a better way to explain it. So an orange dot above, and then 1, 2, and 1. I'm just going to check. You can't really see. I got to move my hand. Let me come over all the way over here so you can see it better. So I'm going to put 1 dot up here. Whoa, that was big because I'm on an odd angle. And then I'm going to go 1, 2, and 1 in between. Let's see how that looks. You can see that a little better. I can lift it up too, so you can see it. Oh yeah, that's a better angle for you, isn't it? Okay, good. All right, so I'm just lifting it up for you to be able to see in case you want to. Woo, there it is. So 2 big dots and then a V. All right, so that might be a better way to do it, right? So put a dot in the center and then 1, 2, and then 1. Dot above the yellow, 1, 2, and then 1. Checking to see if there's any questions. Nope, you guys are doing fine. All right. 1, 2, and a 1. Whoops, don't go too far. One of the funny things about doing this is, it's so many dots on the plate by the time you're done, and yet every time you put a dot down, you find that, like, you judge it. And like, ooh, I've ruined my plate. That's not a good dot. And that's just pretty funny to me. I mean, it's funny to me when I do it to myself. It's not like only other people do that. But I can't even think of too many, whoops, that's red, not orange, too many times where that's really actually happened. Because once all the dots are on the plate, and as long as you're kind of getting them in the pattern, once it fires, man, the firing just solves so many problems. It's kind of cool. And so at the end, you're just going to put your 3-dot triangle in. So I'm hoping that I haven't seen any questions. Hey, Connie. So you're not going to see, you're just going to see your this little frame there, and that's kind of nice. It's a nice way to break it up between the 3 dots and kind of change this into get us ready for our rainbow kind of whirligig design. All right, so you've got your 3 orange dots or your orange dots with the 3 in between. All right, so I'm going to look for, not rushing, but let me know. I'm going to watch for some thumbs up as we move on so I can see how people are doing, how you coming along. One of the things I love about not just designing these, but doing them, and especially teaching them, I think, is how the design evolves. You know, you're starting it and you're like, you know, how it grows into what you saw that made you want to do this plate. It's kind of a fun part of it. All right, how are we doing on the orange dots? Did I see enough thumbs up there? Yes. There's a couple. So this week I was going to add in a Zoom video at the same time so that we could talk to each other. But I tested it out earlier today, and trying to do Zoom and Facebook at the same time, I thought was going to just not bring out the best in me. So going forward, I think next week when we do the mug and the little plate, I'm going to try that one on Zoom, and that way people can decide what they like better. I'm interested in your comments. You can give me a comment at any point during or after the class today. But if you really love the Facebook Live for whatever reasons, please tell me so that I know whether that's something I should really retain or not. But I like Zoom because, like I said, we can talk to each other. We don't have to put it on gallery. It's not that kind of a class, but you can just watch what I'm doing still, but at least you can ask me questions as you go along. If you need me to look at your plate, you know, and check something out, I certainly can. Yeah, and Connie, just so you know, I did check with a studio near you, and she definitely can fire for you. So whenever you're ready, we'll get a plate kit ready for you and mail it down to you in Florida. All right, so are we ready to move on? Yes? Yes, Jackie, we are. Okay. All right. Thank you. I need responses. So now we're going to use tip number 3, and we're going to go back to the red color, and we're going to put a little triangle above each of these. So by that I mean tip number 3, and we're just going to do a big dot above, and then 1, 2. Okay, so I'm going to lift that up closer so you can see it, and see if I can do that while I'm holding it. So a big dot above, and then just a little dot on each side, kind of indented so it looks like a triangle. Woo! It's kind of cool because, to tell you the truth, when you get that design going, it almost doesn't look like a triangle anymore. It just looks like a design that's coming together. So I'm going to do this one a little bit higher in the air so you can see it if you need to. I always do the middle one first, and then come down and do the little two on each side. That's down a little bit, so it's got a little triangle look to it. So big one and then little. Big one on the line and then a little. Now, I don't know if you can see this on my plate or if you have the same issue on your plate. It could just be because I'm not the neatest person I've ever met, but sometimes I get splashes. And again, I don't worry about the splashes on my plate until the end. The main reason is I've noticed that basically about at least 60% of the time I end up covering those splashes, if you will, with a dot later on, so it really doesn't matter. And then if at the end I still have some that I shouldn't have, then I can take them off then when they're dry. So big dot, then little to form the triangle. Big dot, little to form the triangle. I do all 3 without redipping. Doesn't mean it's right, it just means what I do. You can do it however you'd like. Okay, but that's what you're going to have at the end of this. All right, so I'm going to wait until you guys are done with that. So I'm going to look for your... Can it be done with neons? That's an interesting point, Connie. I mean, there are some, you can do, first of all, you can do any of these designs in any colors that we have. How things show up on the black, you know, is a big, or whatever the background color is a big part of how I choose what colors to use, and also, you know, the effect that I'm going for. So yes, any color glaze that I have, you could use for this. For what I have for the kits, it's right on the website. So if you were to pick this plate, for example, or any of the pottery where I ask you to pick colors, there will be a color chart for you to choose from. Okay. So how are we doing? I'm sorry, I might have looked away and missed some thumbs up. Any chance of that? All right. I'm going to wait because the next, we're going to switch gears and we're going to start working on our pinwheel next. So I want to be able to show this to you pretty clearly. Now, one of the things I would like to point out, just in, you know, full disclosure here, if you look at the picture, and we go from this red that we just did, and then I did the yellow and the orange. That's actually, if we're doing a true rainbow, that's backwards. It doesn't go Rio, it's Roy G. Biv, right? So it should be red, orange, yellow, then the green, then I'm going to hold my sample up so you can see that. I realize I'm pointing to it, but it's way over here on the table, so that makes no sense. So what I'm saying is that I have, so these are the red triangles that we just did. Okay. Oops, let me try to get that on an angle so it's got a better, okay, that won't help. The problem is that the video that I'm watching is 7 seconds behind what I'm doing, so getting this together can be a pain. Okay, there we go. Let's see. Oh, and I have to show you on this side, not the other side. Okay, let's try pointing here and see what that does for us. Ay, ay, ay. Shiny thing is hard. I don't even know where the shine is. Okay, good. So we have our 3, and then, so that's red, and then I went to yellow, and then I went to orange. But that's officially wrong. It should be red, orange, yellow. So I'm going to tell you that because you can do whatever you want. If you like it this way better, because it's got, you know, the dark light look, then go ahead and do it this way. But if you know, have a thing about, oh, this was killing me that you weren't in actual Roy G. Biv order, then you have the right to change it. Okay, so I'm going to assume you guys are all caught up. And I'm going to move us along, and we're going to start doing the pinwheel. So we're going to start with the number 3 tip. And because I did the other one backwards, I'm going to do this one myself in orange. And you can do what you want. You can do it in the orange or the yellow. And I'm going to start with that tip, and I'm going to go above the red. And I'm just going to dot, dot, dot. So 3 dots down to the center. And then I'm going to turn, and I'm going to go, I'm only going to do it on one side. I'm going to go to the next one, and I'm going to do the same thing. If you don't have enough room to do 3 dots, it doesn't matter. The most important thing is that you don't run into dots that are already there. It's kind of like learning to drive. I remember my husband teaching our kids, it's like, just don't run into stuff. So this is kind of the same. Put your dot on the line, and then I don't care which side. I go away from me, and I'm left-handed, so all of mine are on this side. I don't know. It's upside down and backwards once I'm done with doing the Facebook Live, so I'm not 100% sure. It doesn't really matter what side it's on as long as you're always doing every one on the same side. So I'm going to come above the red, and then I'm just going to go dot, dot, dot in a little curvy direction. I'm just fixing this dot. So start above on the line, and then go dot, dot. Now that one doesn't have enough room. I'm going to leave it. I'm going to practice what I preach here for you guys. dot, dot, dot. Once you get out from all this congestion, you will see that you'll have a lot more room. All right, let me see if anybody have any questions. Nope, you guys are doing fine then. Yay. All right, so I'm gonna do, I notice a lot of new faces or names here. So if this is something that interests you and you know, are enjoying watching it but wish you were doing it, you can go right to our website at the Studio for Art and Craft, and you can order a kit, dot, 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 and these videos are all saved not only on our Facebook page, but also on our YouTube channel, which you can also access through our website. So we try to make it as easy as possible. If you can't find it, you just shoot me a note and I will help you. Dot, dot, dot. All right, so that's my orange one. You get that? I don't know, when you step back from it, right, you can start to see that it just comes, starting to come alive. Okay, I'm weird that way. I get it. So that's going to be our first one. Now remember, I did the orange next instead of the yellow that's in your picture. So not surprisingly, I'm going to go up a tip side. I'm not rushing you. I'm just explaining it. So now I did tip number 3 just now. So now I'm going to move up to tip number 4, and I'm going to do the yellow. So if you did the yellow before, now you're going to do the orange, and then there'll be no more confusion. And it's just literally, I'm going to repeat it. If I put a dot up here, okay, and then I'm just going to do dot, dot, dot. It's always going to be the same, like, because these dots each get bigger as we go up, you're not really going to need more dots. They're just going to be bigger dots to fill up that space. So this is what I'm going to do. On the line, and then 1, 2, 3. On the line, whoops, and then 1, 2, 3. On the line, 1, 2, 3. I think the main thing to remember is actually not to go too close to your prior dots. It's always, I'm gonna have to blow. I have some dried glaze came flying out at me. I don't even know where that came from. Dot, dot, dot. So on the line with the big dot, and then without redipping, just dot, dot, dot down the side. Any questions? Nope, not so far. All right. On the line. This is one of the one of the things I like about this plate. You can turn off the sound if my yakking at you is kind of getting in your way, but I find it very zen building because you're just really repeating patterns. And repeating patterns is just a very relaxing thing to do. And we're going to be doing that through the rest of this pinwheel design. Dot, dot, dot. This one has a lot of prongs too. I don't know if you've done some of them. You know, I have some designs are kind of airier than others, and this is a very dense design. So those are our first 3 levels. And you can start to see it come together. All right. I have to tell you, I think one of the things I'm really enjoying about doing these classes online is watching it at the same time I'm doing it, and just watching how the design looks on Facebook, you know, versus in real life, if you will. I think it looks really nice. I mean, it looks fine in real life, but what I find is looking at it through the camera lens, it looks more like what it'll look like when it's fired than looking at it in real life does. Does that make sense? Is that like a full thought? It made sense to me. All right, sorry about that. All right, again, I'm waiting, so I'm going to look for some thumbs up when you guys are done with the yellow, just because I don't want to get too far out in front of you. Really don't want to get out in front of you at all. I want to be with you. So actually what I can do, this is what I like to do when I'm waiting, is I can show you a couple of other things we have coming up. So for those of you who don't know, next week I'm doing something a little bit different. I mean, we're still doing the Dot Mandala, but we're doing what I call a beginner's class. So people will have their choice of either a small plate or a small mug. Let's see if I can get them both in the camera at the same time. Let me see. Try that. Maybe it'll work. It's hard. Oh, wait. I should be able to tell. There we go. So you can do both. There's, you can copy yourself, or I'll stay on and we can do it twice. Okay, I could move this in. So anyway, this is the design. This is what we're doing next week. And I also did this one because they're smaller pieces and simpler designs and stuff, mostly because they're smaller pieces and they cost less. These are $20, and I thought that could be fun because if you have like a teen or a tween or someone who's been, kind of reticent to try this and not knowing if they'd be good at it or whatever, it's a little bit less of an investment. So that's next week's plate. I'll wait to show you the plate for the week after during our next break. All right, any questions so far? Anybody want to let me know if they're done with this step? All right, so we've done, where are we at here? Okay. No, not yet. Not seeing my thumbs up. All right, thank you. Even if you did it already, to be honest, if I look away at my tool or my glazes or my plate, or even click to look at the comments, I might miss it. So if you're ready and hit the thumbs up, then I'll know it's a good time to move ahead. You can't thumbs up me too much. Feedback is really always welcome. All right, so we just did tips 3 and 4, so now we're going to move on to tip 5, and now we're going to do the green color. Okay, so as you've probably figured out, you might not even be waiting for, you might have already gone ahead. We're going to do the same exact thing on the line and then dot, dot, dot. On the line and then dot, dot, dot. On the line, whoops. On the line and then dot, dot, dot. I do have to remember to work more over here where you guys can see better. I have to do it kind of on an angle, which is an odd way to dot, but it's really much more visible for you. It's very hard to figure out how to do this on Facebook so it's visible. I'll be interested to see how it compares to do this on Zoom. On the line, dot, dot, dot. Yeah, see, it's hard to do it on the funky angles. I might keep my hand out of the way because I don't really get the full value of the dot. And that kind of messes with what I'm trying to show you. But since I'm not getting any questions, I'm assuming you're getting the hang of it. Now, if you make a mistake, right? If you have dots that are kissing, or you have little spray dots somewhere that you don't want them, you have two options. Like I said, at the end, I'm going to show you how to clean those off. But if for some reason you don't want to, don't stress. Just when you drop off your plate, you can either show us what you did that you don't like, or write us a note, put it on your ticket, put it, on a slip of paper in with your plate. But just let us know, could you please look at my dots and clean anything up that's come together. It's really not a big deal for us to do that. We know how to do it. We do it a lot. We're very good at it. Sometimes I think my best skill is taking paint off of things. So, yeah, so let me know if you have any, if you need us to do something or whatever, just let us know when you drop off your plate. So, and as I said before, in case somebody wasn't on at the very, very beginning, if you want to, everybody's plate has a little number on the back, and that's how I keep track of them. And you get your plate back. But if you want to write something else on the back of your plate, you please do not use any other paint or marker or anything like that. Paints and markers acrylic paint will make the glaze crawl away and will kind of ruin your plate, and markers can do the same thing. The only tool, and even a brush that you have at home can have something else on it. Even when I buy new brushes here at the studio, I wash them first before I use them, because I don't know that they haven't, because I know that, actually I do know that when they mail brushes, they have a stiffener in them, and I don't want that anywhere near the glazes, so we wash that out first. So please don't use anything else to write with. If you can write with the dotting tool, that's fine. If you want something else on your plate, just let us know, write it on your ticket, and we'll be glad to add it to the back. So now, if we're ready, we're going to use tips number 6, and we're going to go for the blue color. Okay, and no surprises here. We're going to put a dot on the line and 1, 2, 3 to the side. Dot on the line, 1, 2, 3. Dot on the line, 1, 2, 3. And just take it all the way around. All right, I don't think there's any questions by now. You're like, I got it. Start on the line, 3 more to the side. A little bit of a curve. Follow the curve. Don't flatten the curve here. This is where flattening the curve is bad. Okay, just a little coronavirus humor. What can I tell you? I do want to thank you guys for your support during this time. You know, it's crazy to being a small business right now. It's so many, you know, I talk to my fellow small business people and everything, and it's like, wow, this is just really a crazy kind of a time to figure out what to do. You know, small businesses aren't typically businesses that have a lot of reserves. It's just not what we're designed for. So I'm happy that I'm able to do this and just kind of eke through this. I'm not sure how long it's going to last in terms of, you know, the lockdown and stuff. I am planning for, if anyone is interested, I'd be curious to get some feedback on this. So again, feel free to give me comments. Well, as I said before, and one, I'm looking for your feedback on whether you'd be interested to try, you know, Zoom or Facebook, or keep it with Facebook. I know the advantage of Zoom, of course, is that we can talk to each other, which is versus listening to me monologue at you for however long. But the other question is, I'm looking at doing an like art in the afternoon type of a, you know, art kit camp, right? So normally we have an art program here Monday through Friday for kids in the summer, and assuming that we're still social distancing, okay, I'm going to need to be able to limit that to no more than 6 kids. And it will have to be 6 children, you know, of a certain age that can keep their masks on and keep their hands off each other. So that really narrows it down. I might know like 3 kids who could do that. But in any case, I also am really looking forward to actually doing, I've actually started planning it and being able to put kits together that can go home so that it's not, we can, you know, we can do the Zoom camp, right? So we can do a program in the afternoon where I might get them started, they can work on their own, then we do a project together and so forth, and they have a project that they can work on in their own spare time. So I'm eager to get some feedback on that and hear what people think of that idea. So please feel free to add comments at the end if you want to. And now I'm going to do the last row using the tip number 7 and the purple color. All right, and that's going to be the last one of these. Oops, that's number 6, learn to read. All right, so we're going to do that, and we're going to do same exact routine, 1, 2, 3. 2. Oops. So this is interesting. I'm using this new, as I was saying, one of the challenges I've noticed is when I got these new tools, because they don't make the old tools anymore, they don't fit really well in those 2-ounce cups that I gave you, and I apologize for that. I didn't know that till I sat down to do, to redo one using this new tool. So starting next week, we're going to be using a different kind of a dispenser. So I had bought these, and it seems to be working quite well. So this is what you'll be seeing in your new kits. So there's our pinwheel look. What are you guys thinking? How's yours coming along? All right, there's one. All right, so I'm just taking my time. I'm waiting for you guys, and I didn't see any thumbs up, and that's fine. I'm just letting you know that's why I'm hanging out here. Ooh, I can show you. Okay, so I showed you next week. That's May 5th. And then the following week, which I think is May 12th, it's always a Tuesday. This is the plate that we're doing. I call this one Happy Days. I think it's the little fireworks thing that makes me call it that. So I just really enjoy this plate a great deal. This is one of my long faves. I did this one about a month or so ago. Got to teach it once live in person down in Oneonta at Teresa's Emporium. If anyone was able to join me there. But we're doing this one on May 12th. And then we're going to do one of our most popular plates. And it's kind of fun and different. This is an oval dish. This one, I call it oval cheese tray. You can use it for anything you want. But this is another plate that we're going to be then doing that following Tuesday. All right, so this is, now you'll notice if you decide you want to do this one and you order it online, you will have some choices of background colors you can use. Because this design looks good on a few different colors. So this is our oval cheese tray. I want to say, well, I guess I could do math. I guess that's the 19th. So those are the ones I've got upcoming and scheduled. People have asked me to kind of stay with this and keep doing them, quote unquote, no matter what. And it's fun for me, and I love to design, so I really have no argument with that. And I guess the fact that you can do it anytime you want. I mean, you can join me live on Tuesdays, or you can watch the video at your own leisure. So I'm happy to keep doing them. So, let me know if there's something, if you want to do it. The other thing we're doing is I'm also doing some Zoom parties. So if you want to do something with friends, you could either use the video, because, you can just share your screen. If you don't have Zoom, you're welcome to use ours. You just need to let me know. I can host you. So there's no reason you should have to get a subscription. I'm happy to do it. Or you can, like I said, one person can watch and then try to teach everyone else. No problem. So I don't want to move ahead if everyone's not finished yet with your pinwheel. So I'm going to look for some thumbs up and some response to see where you guys are in the process. Are you making progress with your pinwheel? Done with the purple? Okay, I'm not seeing thumbs, so I'm going to slow down and wait for you. Okay. All right. Anybody else? Go ahead and hit the thumbs up when you're done with your pinwheel so I know when everybody's done. I feel like I should spin the pinwheel, don't you? No, I'm just kidding. That'll make you dizzy. All right, oh, there we go. Okay. Gives me an idea of where we're at. All right, we're going to do some of our finishing bits. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the largest tip. So tip number 8, and I did these in red, and I put those large red dots on the outside. And you'll see, even though you don't have lines out to here, because I don't like to dig into the glaze if I don't need to, I lined up the dot with the line. So it'll be above your purple. Now, one of the things I want to talk to you about is at this point, you know, depending upon whether you are a loose dotter or a tight dotter, and, you know, I don't judge, you are what you are, your design may take up more or less of the plate than mine or anyone else's does. So what you'll notice, of course, it being a plate, is that it kind of comes up at the edge. So I like to try to put this big dot, if I can, right before, and you can feel it, right before it goes up. So if I'm going to do mine, I'm going to do it right about here. All right. So that's where I'm going to put mine, and I'm just going to work my way around, and you can, you know, use your eye and put it above that purple, somewhat evenish, with all the other red dots that you're adding in there. Whoops. Any questions on red dots? I missed it. What one are you doing next week? Oh, so next week we're doing the mug and the small plate. I'll show it to you at the end. They're a little bit simpler, so I wanted to be able to have a chance for people who haven't tried it yet, or maybe we're a little shy about it, not sure, to be able to, you know, everybody to be successful. It's kind of the whole point. So we're going to do that, and then you can either do both. Each piece is $20, so you could do one or you can do both. And I will go through it twice. If anybody's, I think I already have a few people signed up to do both pieces, although I will probably ask, sometimes, you know, you can do them at the same time. I just don't, we'll kind of wait and see how that works out next week. So, sometimes, you know, if you picked up your paints, like, or you've been dipping in your paint a lot, they might get kind of thick. So whenever you're doing something like this with large dotting, feel free to clean off your tip in between. All right, you don't have to keep dip and dot. All right, make sure you have a nice clean tip whenever possible. So we're gonna have one of these circles all the way around, one of these big red dots all the way around. And Crystal, now that I've finished doing that, I'm gonna, while everybody else is finishing up, I will show you the pattern that we're doing next week, either on the small plate, or it's actually a big mug. It's funny, it's a small plate and a big mug, but yeah, that's good. It's good for breakfast or snack, right? A nice piece of cake and a big cup of coffee. Just the way I like it. And then you can do this either in a base coating of black like this one, or off-white. So both of those, these colors look good on both of those. All right, so that's next week. And then the following week, we're doing this one, the Happy Days. And then the week after, because look at me just planning ahead, woohoo. So the week, this is on the 12th. I could hold that down a little bit so you get a little bit of a better view. And I like this one because I called it Happy Days because I like the fireworks. And then the week after, on the 19th, we're doing this one, which does also come with 2 different choices of background color. Might even come with 3. I'm sorry, I don't remember. I have a lot going on. All right, so how are we doing on the red dots? See some thumbs up for that, because I'm going to teach you kind of a new technique. Well, not new if you've been with me before, but certainly new for this plate. This is going to be a drag. Not a drag like bummer drag. This is a drag technique. And what we're going to do is, I'm going to start with, I'm actually going to do, we're going to pop into the middle. So if you look at the picture that I sent along, I'll put this plate back up here. I'm going to actually show you something before I do that. So in the middle of this one, I don't know if you guys got my symbolism or not. I called this plate 2020 because it's got the rainbow, which is pretty important right now, a big thing, but also kind of the red, it was a kind of a coronavirus plate, but whatever. So what I did was I made these blue pieces coming out somewhat randomly there in the middle. All right. If that bothers you, if you don't like the randomness of it, you don't have to do random. You can do yours in a more orderly fashion. I just happen to like the random, but it doesn't mean it's the only way. So I'm going to take tip number 1 and the blue, and basically what I'm going to do is, I'm doing it over here so you guys can see. So I'm going to hold it so that a lot of paint, and not touching too much, and then just drag it down. So I'm going to repeat and show this to you a couple of times. And I'm just going to do this somewhat randomly. So I'll start out here, let some paint drip, and then pull. I'm trying to do it the same. So over here and pull. And you get these kind of comma-looking things, right? Down and pull. Down and pull. So you can do it a lot of different ways. You can do short ones like I just did a nice short one. You can fill those in. All right. The hardest part about this is not doing what I just did and drag your fingers in the paint. Oh well. Don't drag your fingers. Don't rest your hand on the plate. I tend to be a little bit lazier, to be honest, because I don't keep my plates because I already have a bazillion of them. But you shouldn't do that because you're going to love your plate. If you do drag, you know my rules. Let it dry. Go back and fix your dots. Let it dry, and then I'm going to show you how to clean it up. I know I keep promising that, and I truly, truly mean it. All right, and the last thing we're going to do is to repeat that drag, and we're going to do, what I call it is I do a big drag from each of these big dots. I'm going to do up, what I call north, south, east, and west, or 12, 6, 3, and 9, and then in between I just do a short drag. Okay? That's my plan for that. So from the top, we're going to go nice and long, and the bottom, oops. And then little short ones in between. Okay? So I'm going to wait while you guys finish that. Because I want some of my paint to dry, because I want to be able to show you how to clean stuff up. And my paint has to be dry in order to do that. All right. So don't forget, if you guys have any comments for me, some insights, either about these classes, whether you think you'd like it better on Zoom, because I can do that, next week I'll do the class on Zoom so that we can see how it works for us to actually be able to talk to each other. You can still, it's still going to be kind of a one-way watching. But this way, if you do have a question or a problem and I need to see your plate, I can at least look at your plate. Whereas I can't really do that on Facebook. And then you have to stop what you're doing to type in a comment. And I know that can sometimes be a pain. So I would love that feedback from you. And then if you have kids and you have thoughts about a summer camp in a box program, so that, wherever kids are this summer, which is likely not to be shoulder to shoulder in summer camp, I was thinking, I could put some, I know the kids love the projects we do. I mean, I'm confident about that. We get amazing reviews and return visits, and I love doing summer programs so much. And so I was thinking that I could put something together that kids could do at home. It would be a half-a-day program, and we do it in the afternoons, probably from like 2 to 5, something like that, so that it makes it a little bit easier, and we would do it on Zoom. It doesn't have to be, I wasn't really planning to do 3 hours on Zoom because I don't know of a single child, or probably really any adults, who have that high level of attention span. But, I'd like to get them started, let them work on their own project. Then I thought in the middle we would do a harder project that requires, kind of more teaching. And then the third project I could get them started on, and they could finish it up on their own. And then if they had any questions or whatever, we can kind of go over it the next morning. And I'm working on how to do our end of the week. We always do an art show. For those of you who are not familiar with our summer programs, we do an art show for families at the end on Friday. I'm thinking of how we can do that. It's kind of fun on Zoom, but I would love some feedback on that. So I'm going to show you guys now how to clean up, because you can keep dragging. You can drag away. I'm going to find, a dry dot, that ran together. I have so many to choose from. Okay, so I'm going to come in here. It's not really as dry as I'm going to lift this up. And this is not fully dry, these dots that I'm pointing to now. I would like to point that out. I normally would not clean up this early. Okay. I think it's a little bit soon for that. I'm going to try to get this up as close as I possibly can so you can see it. But basically, I happen to have a paintbrush that's got a chiseled end on it. You can use a toothpick. You can use anything you could use like a metal nail file. Those are probably the best things. You don't want something that's what you don't want to do is take away the black paint. So the reason you want your whole plate to be dry also is because if you need to anchor your finger, you obviously don't want to do it in wet paint. And all I'm going to have you do is just a couple of times and then blow it away so that you've made a line in between. You just need to be able to see black. You're not going to reshape your dot. You're just going to clear between it, okay, so that you can see black in between. So here's another one that I have where these two have kissed rather significantly. Let me make sure. Move this back into... I'm not really good at holding this into the camera. That's kind of dumb. Let me move it. There you go. So you can totally see these two are next to each other. I'm just very lightly making that line. That's it. That's all I needed to do. All right. So that's what cleaning it up looks like. If you are uncomfortable doing that, or you don't get it, or you don't think you're going to do a great job, just let me know when you drop it off. Also, you'll notice up here I have some speckles. I don't know if I can do that. There we go. Get some more light on there. So where some paint kind of ran away from me, I tend to sprinkle quite a bit there. Let's see if you can see that. Sure you can. I made more light. Yes. All right. So just take that same chiseled surface and very lightly scrape, 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 blow. Scrape, 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 blow. Do not... If you think that you scrape off too much of the black, I need you to tell me that when you drop off your plate if you're not sure, because I have to treat your plate a little bit differently. Scrape, 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 blow. All right, take your time. It can't be done quickly. because if I fire it and you scraped away all the black, then I need to refire it, which isn't a crime. It's just that the more times something gets fired, the greater there is a chance of something, bad happening. Kilns are not fun places. All right, so does anybody have any questions before we go? You guys are going to finish it up. You're going to let it dry. Then you're going to scrape up anything that you don't like. You're not going to write on the back with anything other than the glaze and the dotting tool. Let me know on your slip if there's anything you want us to put on the back for you. You're going to bring your plate and your dotting tool back. I am going to be doing a firing. Thank you, Tish. I'm going to be doing a firing. We have a lot of plates. We have 37 people doing this plate this week. So that's several kiln worth. So if you're planning to get yours done sooner rather than later, you want to bring that back to me tomorrow or Thursday if you can. It doesn't matter that much, but if you want it done sooner and not to get caught up in the traffic jam, I'm planning to fire tomorrow night. We're open every day between 12 and 2 for pickups and drop-offs. You guys already know this because you've already picked up. And then during the week, Monday through Friday, we're also here from 5 to 6 p.m. And thank you very much for participating. Thank you so much for supporting us here during these crazy days. I'm so happy to be able to give you something fun to do. I'm so happy you're able to give me something fun to do. And I'm really very appreciative. Have a great night.